SUI had crashed a total of 53.43% from the 27th of March down to the 13th of April. After this movement to the downside, we did see a bit of a relief rally where SUI surged up 63.14%. After which we have, of course, started to move back down deeper, and we have crashed by 32.6% since we had that swing high on the 21st of April. So what is next for SUI? And in today's video, that's going to be our topic. We're going to be taking a look at the technical analysis on SUI, giving our thoughts and opinions on where we think things are heading. As I get into today's video, guys, smash that like button for me. Really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, welcome, and why not consider subscribing, staying up to date with all the content that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on here with SUI. So we have SUI paired up with the USDT. We're on the one-day Binance chart, and we have seen a very aggressive move to the downside after reaching its swing high at $2.18. So what's going on? Well, unfortunately, we are in a five-wave movement from an Elliott wave theory point of view. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're still looking for that fifth. But the good news is that it is a potential here for a breakout. Okay, and that's what we want to be kind of looking for. We want the invalidation to occur so it prevents us from completing this structure. This structure is a very bearish one. So the bulls have a very clear target, right? Basically take the price action higher than $1.54.06. Okay, that's going to be the area in order to prevent us from slipping down into a five-wave bearish pattern. Okay, so we want to be aware of that. Now, from a more traditional way of looking at the market, unfortunately, SUI is also still bearish. It is lower than the 50 SMA, that's the yellow line going through the chart here. It is lower than the 50 exponential moving average, that is the blue line going through. And unfortunately, it is lower than the 200-day exponential moving average. This is unfortunately a very bearish place for SUI to be at the moment. Now, we do see here as well the yellow line, the blue line, the 50 SMA, the 50 EMA on a collision course for crossing down lower than the 200 exponential moving average, essentially meaning that we're going to see a death cross here for SUI. The smaller short-term price action of the yellow and blue lines are going to cross down lower than the longer-term price action, the white line, and that is going to be a bearish death cross for SUI. So we obviously know what we want to avoid. We want to avoid going down too deep, but I think unfortunately we probably are likely to see a bit more slippage here for SUI before we can kind of see another relief rally to the upside. And I want to kind of say it's going to more than likely be, unless of course we can break this pattern, a relief rally, because if we complete five waves like this, our expected target range will be down in this low area here between 65.44 and 78.9. It will be quite disastrous for many retail investors who are maybe getting into SUI at the top end here, for example. The good news would be that if this can be an irregular flat, which I don't think it can, but if it were to, we'd have a look at it like this, and it would just basically be looking to complete. For that to be an irregular flat, we would have kind of needed to have finished it down here, in my opinion. So I don't think that's really what's going on. What we want is just basically an overextended C wave, and we want a relief rally to continue and break of our structure, taking it up higher than 154.06. That's going to be the target that we want to, in order for us to prevent us from coming down into these low ranges. If we cannot, and we do complete a five-wave pattern, I think the most probable scenario is a bounce up and then further slippage to the downside at a later date, and that's going to be basically your full three-wave correction over a sustained period of time. That could take, us through the summer and into basically Q4 before we actually start that next big run to the upside. Now, as we take a look at this, we've had a fantastic run here for SUI, right? We can see here that we did break up into a new all-time high at the $2.18, and it's done phenomenally well, right? And we need to acknowledge how well this has done. It has been 503% so far from that low that we saw in October 2023. If we are to complete a big three-wave pattern here, and we were to do something like this and taking us down, into August, September time, then that there could actually be a fantastic place for dollar cost averaging and building in that next big run to the upside, because we'd still look at this as a nice three-wave pattern still moving to the upside at a later date into new all-time highs. So very bearish potential here for SUI. We want to kind of avoid those where possible, but it is looking likely to see a little bit more slippage here for SUI. SUI. Now, if we take a look at momentum, we can see here on the daily chart, we have some more momentum to the upside for sure, but there's no guarantees that this is going to hold. So we want to be a little bit cautious. We have overbought on the 1 hour and 4 hour time frames, so do expect some volatility on the smaller time frames. The daily does show some growth to it, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not we can get those invalidations, we can get those breakouts and start that next run to the upside here for SUI. Take the stochastic RSI out of play, throw on the divergence indicator. You can see here that the relative strength index also has a lot of progression to go, but it is lower than the 50 level, indicating that ultimately we are still in bearish territory here for the relative strength index. So we have still got a long way to go there on that one. Let's go ahead and throw in some smart money concepts and see if that gives us any indications of things to come. We still remain in a bullish pattern on the macro, which is fantastic here for SUI. So although we have some negative price action here at the moment, and we can also see that we have equilibrium right here in line with the 50 EMA, 50 SMA, 200 EMAs. This is the resistances that we're facing at the moment. Fair value gaps almost filled out as well on the chart. Bullish structure change here. So everything's still very bullish on SUI. We haven't broken any of those things. So that's looking very nice on the daily time frame. And so just expect some volatility. I think ultimately we'll probably see a little bit more slippage to the downside, where it does look to me like we have the potential to find some good support in here in these previous areas of resistance, turning them into support. So hopefully this is where we have to kind of finish off at 65 to 78 cent for SUI, so that we can then continue our kind of really big bullish movements to the upside. Smart money concepts actually gives me a lot more confidence in the space here for SUI. It does still look like it has some pretty good support areas and isn't really looking all that bearish from a smart money concept side of things. Okay, so we just know that the Elliott wave theory has maybe been a little bit too cautious, kind of being showing us the ideas that maybe we're in some kind of bearish movement to the downside. So hopefully we can get that invalidation by breaking up higher than the 154, and hopefully we can see this as a 3-wave pattern from here, or maybe even an impulsive one. That would be also a really good reversal to see. So we'll keep a close eye on that and see how it kind of plays out on the daily time frame. So yeah, for the daily time frame, I think that's going to cover that. Let's go jump into the weekly time frame. Here we can see that there isn't a huge amount of data, and you can kind of see though we are finding support on that 50 EMA, it's the blue line there, the little tiny blue line, and the 50 simple moving average, the yellow line. So it does look like we've come down quite nicely at the moment. I'm looking for close positions to stay above these. If we can stay above the 50 SMA and the 50 EMA, so we're talking 94.46 for the EMA and 90.77 for the SMA on the weekly time frame. If we can stay above those from a close point of view, I think we're very, very bullish here on SUI on that kind of time frame. Now, taking a look at the stochastic, it's down and oversold. This is a really strong place for SUI to be. Loads of upward momentum potential here, but we should expect ourselves to be down here for a bit more before we get that kind of bigger reversal to the upside. Fantastic reset considering how much it has crashed down at the moment. So it gives me some pretty good confidence in what is to come. I do think new all-time highs are due for SUI. We can also see that we've only just dipped down lower than the 50 level on the relative strength index, indicating we probably still have some more to the downside to go. You can also see that bearish divergence flag coming in here just as we kind of reached up into that peak there on the 25th of March 2024. So bearish flag was a pretty key indication of basically this move to the downside. So hopefully you guys did catch that one and weren't caught out too much on the weekly time frame for that bearish divergence that was seen there. Our smart money concepts isn't showing us any major movements. You can see what's going on the daily here, considering equilibrium is right where we are now, facing the resistances. We do have that change of character and that bullish structure for our daily time frame, but there's nothing else on the weekly to kind of indicate any major issues or anything like that overall. So I think for me, like SUI seems to be a fantastic position, ready for accumulation. I think we should expect a little bit more volatility, better prices potentially, but it's come down quite aggressively, and that's a great dollar cost averaging opportunity in my opinion. Let me know what your thoughts are on the SUI price action in the comments down below, and whether or not you are looking to purchase up SUI at these lower discounted rates. And if you haven't done so already, guys, I urge you to check this video out right here where we're discussing what's going on with BTC.